The Ghana Living Standard Survey report for 2013 indicates that out of every 10 persons in the Upper West region, 7 are poor. Majority of the poor, according to the report, are smallholder women farmers. Unfortunately, unfavorable government policies, traditional beliefs, and other factors have succeeded in further deepening the poverty levels of women.
Our demographics show that for every 100 human beings, farmers, you count, 54% of them are women. Naturally, if 54% are women, one would have expected to see a lot more involvement of women in farming in the Upper West region.
They were not known to be farmers as we are. Take a hoe, take an axe. No, they were used to helping their husbands, because if a woman was a farmer those days, they may say she's a witch.
Among the factors of production in agriculture, land is considered the most important, but getting land for farming purposes is a difficult task, particularly for smallholder women farmers.
Many people tend to think that our system is similar to that of northern region. It is not. Our land is held by the household heads. It is not in the hands of chiefs. And so anybody who attempts to do anything about access to land and begins to talk to chiefs ought to go the further mile by talking to household heads, because the land is actually held by individuals, even though they may belong to a chiefdom or a kingdom. It is not in the hands of a chief.
An wailer man so yaw his in ya cabinet de Musah fin come and call Yana Suma Bozum Kamaya Babun and Bawako Unkumo a concern Lana Mamma Bora Candemal Canon be the check up a minute a bunch and Carmen de Quaco school Bunkumo Eka.
Jema hanger and Slabandon quarter. Abra 2 quarter, Cancela quarter. Many
people tend to think that the Tindambes own land. No, the Tindambes are spiritual custodians of the land. Spiritual means that when blood is shed in the land, when something has gone wrong in the land, and the gods of the land need to be appeased, that is when the Tindamba are brought in. They are actually custodians of the spirits of the land, not the land itself.
When you are giving that land, they will tell you, we have given you this land to farm and support your daily bread. They may tell you, don't plant trees. Because if you plant trees, it means for a long time you own the land. So they will tell you crops, maybe cascading crops like cassava, sorghum, yam and whatnot.
It's not the issue that they are not getting the land, but what kind of land are we giving to our women? That is the question that we need to address here.
Women don't have land, so it is the marginal lands that is given to the women. If you see a woman who has land and can cultivate, then the woman is widowed and the family members leave the husband's fields for her. Then she can go into full production. But the others who are there who have the idea of helping their husbands, so that in future they won't even suffer much, but the land is not given to them.
Our inheritance system is paternal. We do not inherit through our mother's side. And because it is paternal, if you have a daughter and you offer your land to your daughter, what happens when she marries out of your kingdom? Does that mean that the land that she's inherited automatically goes to the community that she's married into? Definitely not. We don't inherit through the mother's side. And that is why many Upper Westerners are reluctant to release land to females. It's simply because of these issues of succession.
Accessing credit from financial institutions for farming activities is still a major challenge for many poor farmers in the Upper West region. As a response to poor government policies, smallholder women farmers in many communities in the Upper West region have started what is known as the Village Savings and Loan Schemes to address their financial needs.
Village Savings and Loans Association, it is about mobilizing groups of people in rural communities, male and female alike, so that they could come together to pool their resources together in terms of money for on-lending to other group members within the communities.
They meet on a weekly basis, and you bring the little that you have, irrespective of what trade you are doing. The little trade that you are doing gives you something, if you are lucky, in 2 market days. For those that have a market day that rolls back every 6 days, at least within 1 week, you have made some money. If you've gone to sell groundnuts or to sell some shea butter, you've made some money. You put that money into that account. That is what they do. Then those who need the money can come and borrow. And they queue. They actually queue to borrow that money. Say if there are 12 persons in the group, not all 12 persons can have their problems solved instantly. But the money put together becomes an insurance that can cushion one person for the period. And when that person has paid back that loan, then the next person can take, which is a good system. Because the person taking the loan is known by the next person in queue. And therefore, the next person in queue acts as a collateral, also acts as a check for the first person to pay back.
I will be near Lombodin Yang. The Mintago Bidini, Emma, and Nafi, Fien. Ka kwabon watanga. Emi mando gaebe amente pen. To impen na indana wako chagara enna kwana biara. Chura ta bi chura na bi chura no kina wada abon kina woi wonye no inma chare akwa adega ta fura daga bide.
They are taken through certain trainings such as financial literacy, group dynamics, handling of credit management in general, to enable them to be able to access loan facilities also from the formal financial sector.
In the last few years, governments have attempted to reduce the burden of poor smallholder farmers by introducing subsidies on fertilizer and other farm inputs. The question, however, is how much have those policies helped the woman farmer?
What government subsidizes for inputs, and for inputs I want to say seed and fertilizers in the Upper West, is not 100% subsidy on the total regional requirement. It is a subsidy on what government has chosen to take as the burden. You get the point? It's parts. The government is helping the farmer halfway, and then the farmer is supposed to also walk the rest of the mile.
Come on, no poor yara san kuruni. Adamu de yara. In kumba, I tengwa man langa. Karo kuna no machiki number in kuruni fin amuning. Even man tuang. Anyira a kamana e buabana.
Since this is muzzle, because you have to elbow some people out to be able to access the subsidized fertilizer. Invariably, women, being the weaker, will be elbowed out.
Information from the Upper West Office of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture indicates that there are over 150 dams and dugouts in the region, all aimed at promoting dry season farming. However, the facilities appear to be dominated by the men.
I know we have irrigation dams here, and then men are working there and the women are supporting their husbands there.
People tend to own these lands forever. But the correct thing would be to reallocate land on an annual basis. If the land is being reallocated on an annual basis, then you can address the women's issue. But if people have permanent lands at the irrigation sites, then it tends to leave out women.
So if you say you've just come and dammed an area and don't prepare the land very well, you don't make channels by which the water can get to the one, but you still expect the person to come to the dam and fetch the water, then that is not irrigation. because it includes a lot of things, including the channels to the various farms that you can have access to the water. But what we have is just dam. You create a dam and just a small, mostly it's just a small channel. So people are not willing to use because it's more labor intensive.
Lack of access to farmlands, credit, and subsidies have resulted in many poor rural women farmers taking up to charcoal production as a means of livelihood. This has resulted in environmental degradation, but the consequences are much deeper than just environmental degradation.
First of all, we know very well that if women are empowered or they have enough, it means that the whole family benefit from whatever they have, because at the end of the day, they end up spending all that they have maintaining the family. So if they don't have the resources, they don't have, it means at the household level, food production is going to be affected.
Kina wanya abiem angra tavamana, unya kadoge bi uma enga. Abemine ponje jabraba mandega tavama. Kabien kan wanya deun, kan no doge turubi uma enga pa unyira doge na ambi uma enga. Uma ka awobi suhuye mine lomborin. Uma ka kase kuyi gwangwara ka wasomoma. Ana mangane bo ponje.
Of late, we are seeing that the 3 northern regions, we have the highest rate of malnutrition, wasting, stunting, and anemia.
If a child is not given its proper complement of nutrients by 24 months after birth, that child is a write-off. They go to school and they are not able to perform, and you don't understand why. It's starting from there.
It is a known secret that most governments' pro-poor agricultural policies are not delivering the desired outcomes. For some people, this calls for a paradigm shift. How then do stakeholders ensure that government policies work better for smallholder farmers, particularly women?
The moral support must be the first thing. The moral support is behind granting land. If we know that a woman can also farm groundnuts and also do vegetables, and that it will inure to the benefits of the whole family, then we'll be more willing to include women in the allocation. And then don't forget, the tradition back here is for the man to provide the grain. But how does the woman provide the additives for the soup to make the grain translate into a meal that can be eaten? They have to struggle on their own. Some of them are actually trading. And if we were to allow them a parcel of land to grow at least a vegetable crop, most of that vegetable crop would end up in our own soups. And that will improve nutrition a lot.
There should be a specific target. Okay, let's give about 60% of all the fertilizer that we are going to give to farmers to women. So that when you do that, let Ministry of Agric come in, they know the farmers group, then they can give them the subsidy directly.
It's
not every farmer who would take a bicycle from, say, Yala number 1, Yala number 2, and cycle into Wa to look for funding or credit. He would want to spend his time differently. And therefore, these clubs, these village savings and loans societies are the way to go for today. I want to urge the district assemblies to be able to help these communities so that these savings loan schemes can grow up.
Agriculture, we are told, is the center of gravity of Ghana's economy, and it will remain so for a very long time to come. If this statement is anything to go by, then how come that women farmers in the Upper West region do not have access to fertile lands, credit, and subsidies they require to contribute their quota?